I hope you've been enjoying convention as much as I have, since I'm also able to watch comfortably at home. It's not the same as being together, and I'm hoping we can figure out how to bring us back together in some creative hybrid way. I found the opening of convention breathtaking, with the beautiful colors, pictures, and soul-stirring music. I just wish I could see all your faces like you can see mine. That's the biggest downside about not being together. I know how much you miss elbowing your way through the crowds in the Salt Palace and having the hot sun beating down on you as you scramble to find your seat in the bleachers and being packed in like sardines, wishing you had binoculars because you are sitting in the top rows of the stadium, anxiously awaiting to hear about the new products. And then, of course, there's the bonding experience of waiting in line for the bus to take you back to your hotels. We definitely had some challenges, but as I think back, what I remember most is the fun and excitement of everyone being together, as well as those quieter moments that I was able to spend with so many of you signing your books and taking photos. I loved every bit of it. Believe me, there are a lot of ideas popping up about ways to make that happen. After all, I'm sure a virtual farm tour is not the way you want to introduce new members to the seed to sale process. I suspect that not many of you know that we are building a new visitor center at our farm in Mona, Utah. The old farmhouse just couldn't accommodate the increased number of visitors, especially during convention. When we made the decision to take it down and the excavator tapped the roof, the entire building collapsed. Wow, what a sight that was. I really wanted to share that with you. Over the years, Gary and I talked about remodeling the visitor center, but it was always someday because we needed another tractor or harvester for the farm. The plants and the oil production came first. Now we have a new visitor center built from the ground up that we designed, where we can teach and educate and have more wonderful activities. Every time Liz Davies, our Senior Director of Farm Events, called me about a decision we had to make, that dream of the last 10 years became more real. We could feel the energy grow as the cement was poured for the foundation. Then the walls went up, the stairs were built, and the roof went on. We all watched in awe as the contractors worked quickly through the winter months, and we were blessed with almost no snow or miserable weather that is expected for that time of the year. There are also many other new things being built at the farm. You are going to be thrilled when you come and see what's happened. We are definitely thinking about you. We know how you feel because we feel the same way, and we are visualizing you coming to the farm and being amazed as you see all the new additions. I would love to see the look of surprise on your faces. Construction is scheduled to be completed in time for welcoming our wonderful friends who come to compete in the Draft Horse Show at the end of September. When you feel the excitement that this event brings, you'll understand why Gary loved it so much. So if you want to come and celebrate with us, we'll be happy to share that excitement with you. So much has happened since our first virtual convention. Jacob and Kate were married. Joseph grew a foot taller and is ecstatic about driving his car. And me? Seems like I'm always in high gear, racing to keep up with everything. It's been quite an unusual year with so many challenges, but with exciting solutions that have kept us thinking and innovating, bringing all kinds of discoveries with new changes and new ways of doing things. I'd like to slow down a bit, but with the growth of Young Living and all the exciting things that are happening, I don't want to miss out on anything. Besides that, I'm anxious to hear the stories about you and your adventures as you move to our new shopping platform. I realize there will be little problems, but we intend to solve them as quickly as possible. That's the process of becoming a well-oiled operation, and we're doing it together. It's an exciting time for all of us, but there are even more rewarding experiences ahead of us with people all over the world who are waiting for our message, for the opportunity and a path to a better way of life. They just don't know about Young Living, and it's our responsibility to take our message to them. Our foundation is thriving because of Jackie's dedicated leadership and the support that all of you, our wonderful members, give. The impact that we are making through our foundation is being felt worldwide, but we are just getting started. I feel like there has been a rebirth of Young Living, and destiny is calling us. Never has there been a time in our world when you might say, so many people's hearts are failing them. What does that mean? Are they giving up? Is there no hope? Is the heartbeat of life ready to stop? The heart beats as long as that eternal zest for life radiates within us. But from where does that eternal zest come? This is a time when you need to go inside yourself and discover who you are. What keeps your heart beating? It's time to ignite that spark of deity that lies within the soul of each individual that powers that zest for life. I believe you can only find those answers by connecting with that higher power of creation, the creator of that heartbeat, your spirit. The power of life is within each one of us, not somewhere else. Gary talked so many times about the importance of knowing who you are, and he shared those feelings in the last interview he gave.
The number one greatest thing that any person can do, man or woman, is spend time getting to know who you are and developing yourself. Because that is your greatest investment, is investing in yourself. With that, it develops your self-worth, it develops your character, it develops your commitment. And if you're going to man up to anything, if it's just building a Young Living business, it takes commitment, it takes dedication, it takes time. And along that process, and Scott, you know it because you've done it. Along the way, there's a lot of people saying, you're crazy. I'll bet when you sold your chiropractic practice, there were people saying, have you lost your flipping mind?
Yep.
And, you know, what are you going to do now? Where are you? And all kinds of things are said. The best thing you can do is invest in yourself, trust in yourself, and live your dream.
I think we all ask ourselves those questions as we grow up wondering what our future would be like. What is our purpose in life? Is there something around the corner waiting for us? Singing has always been a big part of my life. As a young child, in high school and college, and throughout my adult life, I sang in many musicals and theatrical productions and was often asked to perform at employee parties and other celebrations during the holiday season. All of this was long before I met Gary, and my life was transformed into what you see today. One December evening, because I had several performances on my calendar, I drove over to the home of a close friend of mine who often accompanied me on the piano. I remember this time so clearly because the experience had such an impact on me personally and gave me some great introspection into myself. As my friend started to play the piano, we both started to feel some resistance to rehearsing because of the repetition, which meant singing some of the same songs, driving to some strange place during the freezing cold winter, walking through the ice and snow, and wondering if the piano would even be in tune. But the minute I saw the smiles on the faces of those in my audience, I immediately felt a desire to do my best and make them happy. After about 45 minutes of performing, we felt transformed as we walked out to the car full of enthusiasm, grateful for the opportunity and the reward of bringing joy to others. I often think about that when I feel tired and have to write another presentation, do one more recording, or be on another Zoom call. I have such resistance to calling on my cell phone. But when I hear another voice somewhere in the world, I immediately feel uplifted and motivated to connect and hear what's happening. Each individual is important to me, especially when it's Kelly, who I talk to sometimes 4 or 5 times a day. This is the attitude that all leaders should have. I would never want to do or say anything that would hurt someone else. This is what leadership means to me. And as I have often said, leaders are defined by how they make other people feel, which I find critical to anyone's success. Gary had such a big personality and was constantly full of energy and moving fast. But he always took time to visit with the members who crowded around him and answered all those little questions, even if the meeting ended late and he was exhausted. He usually had the answers, and he wanted to help them. We are all human, and we all have our moments of resistance to our purpose and to what we need to do. I'm sure you know what I mean, but it is our purpose or that commitment within us that stirs our souls and keeps the heart powered up and beating. Some say the soul is the connection between the material body and the spiritual self, and both share some of the same characteristics. The soul can be attracted either towards the spiritual realm or towards the material plane, which seems like that is where the battle between good and evil is being waged. I think this is where humanity has been for quite some time. Even as young living members, we have found ourselves on what seems like a battlefield, defending what we believe and the knowing that we have inside ourselves. Our spirits long for validation of what we believe because of our own divine purpose to establish values, principles, and beliefs that give meaning to life. We sense a connection to something bigger than ourselves, that sense of purpose, as we adapt to our own experiences and relationships. Gary believed that almost all physical problems and maladies begin on an emotional level. Spiritual and emotional wellness connect us not only to a higher power, but to everyone around us in one way or another. When spiritual and emotional wellness are connected, we have greater focus and more clarity of thought in making everyday choices, and our actions become more consistent with our beliefs and values. Gary knew the importance of understanding spiritual and emotional wellness, which was one of the things that drove him forward against all odds to bring the opportunity of greater wellness and awareness through the gifts of Mother Nature, the essential oils, to the world. After Gary's terrible logging accident when he was 24 years old, his life became one of misery, not only because of the tremendous pain he was in, but also because of the prognosis that he would never walk again. His ranch was gone, his horses, his logging business, everything he had worked so hard to build was gone. His dreams were shattered, and his zest for life slowly diminished, and the flame that kept his heart beating was slowly going out. Gary wanted to end his suffering and misery once and for all, and made a third desperate attempt to commit suicide by fasting himself to death. But after 253 days of only drinking juices, The flame of life within him was reignited when he felt movement in his big toe. Gary saw a tiny light at the end of the tunnel, and his zest for life began to grow, and he became stronger as his indomitable spirit drove him to find answers for his own healing. As feeling returned to his legs, so did the pain, which was intensified. But nothing was going to block his dream to walk again and ride his horse in the mountains. God was Gary's companion, and Gary carried that connection in his heart every day of his life and never let a day go by without expressing gratitude for the opportunity God gave him to live and walk again, for which he made the commitment that he would spend the rest of his life serving God's children. One summer early in our marriage, we returned to the mountains of Chalice, Idaho, where Gary grew up. He was excited to show me the old homestead and share his great love of those rugged mountains. I remember seeing the anticipation in Gary's eyes as he mounted his horse, knowing he would ride the same trails that he did as a youth and relive some of his childhood memories. I had never ridden a horse before I met Gary. Horses were big and scary to me, but I didn't want to miss seeing Gary's excitement as his powerful stallion Sundance was carrying him up through the trees, jumping across the streams, and climbing up the mountain. I don't believe anyone can understand what being able to ride again meant to him unless you had a similar experience. I certainly can't relate to anything like that, but I saw that indescribable look of joy in his face as he took in the energy of the mountain wilderness. I think that was the happiest he ever was, even though he loved everything he did. In front of our global headquarters is a replica of the cabin in which Gary lived the first years of his life. Our magnificent global headquarters that he designed stands in dramatic contrast to this little cabin. In the same way, we might compare his humble beginnings to the many things he accomplished in his life. Next to the cabin is a life-size sculpture of Gary on his horse Sundance, created by world-renowned artist Jonathan Bronson. The beauty of the detail and exactness that is portrayed brings a feeling of awe and deep respect for Gary, this man who overcame what he was told was impossible. As you gaze up into his face and see the strength of his powerful body on his horse, you can feel the triumph that Gary must have felt as he once again was able to ride his horse. That accident so many years ago took him down an unknown path that has brought all of us together. I remember the early days of Young Living when we were a small company and we knew everyone and we knew what was going on in each other's lives. Even though it is no longer possible to connect with each of you on the same level as we once could, it warms my heart that you became excited because of what you experienced. You fell in love with the beautiful essential oil blends and other products that Gary formulated, and you wanted to share your experiences. The mammoth challenges of this past year have brought about new ways of learning how to communicate. And to think that perhaps 1 million people are watching this convention, compared to 35,000 members in 2019 who were sitting in the bleachers of the stadium, is staggering to think about. I would say that modern technology has blessed us in many unusual ways, besides the discoveries we have because of the need to find solutions. I marvel when I think of all the filming that was done for this convention. We are so blessed to have such a wonderful partnership with Cornerstone, Chad Fraughton and his fabulous team who are bursting with creative ideas and their awesome digital capabilities. Our own amazing Brittany Lambert, Vice President of Events, and her team have spent months and countless hours organizing, designing, and planning to make this convention possible. What a wonderful combination of ideas and collaboration for the benefit of all of us, for the mission of Young Living. Oils in every home, serving God's children. I believe that nothing touches and uplifts the soul like beautiful music. And Lyle Moore's harmonic sounds have created a feeling of peace and excitement at the same time. Now that takes talent, and I'm thrilled that he is part of this great event. Hundreds of dedicated employees have given so much to support all of our participants, and taking care of all those little needs adds up to a lot. After all, the reason we come together is to learn more and share in each other's energy, even if it is through the virtual screen. Every one of us wants to learn more so that we can better take care of ourselves and our families and become great messengers of what we love, knowing that we are part of something that is perhaps bigger than ourselves. Yes, you are the messengers. You are taking the mission of Young Living to the world, the destiny of Young Living. Do you feel your own destiny emerging? We all have different skills and do different things in different ways, but our individual paths lead to the same destination. There's a feeling of accomplishment and gratitude that swells within you when you see the joy of discovery feel the soul of someone else. Is that destiny being fulfilled? I would say it is more than that. It is that divine spark for life which ignites the divine destiny within each of us to be of service, especially in a world desperately in need of being reignited with hope and finding a new way of rekindling that zest for life. What is your divine destiny? That is for you to discover. And I think we have a few answers and perhaps some added insight that might help others get started. One Saturday afternoon in March, the pressure of writing my presentation was overshadowing me. So I sat down at my computer and put my fingers on the keyboard. It had been snowing all night, so there was a blanket of whiteness over everything, which created a mystical look that caused my mind to wander off into dreamland. I was sitting in Gary's chair, gazing out the window at the rugged mountains just like he did, and thinking about what I might say that would be worthwhile for you, and wanting to share my excitement about this new trio of blends. But I couldn't get my brain going. My eyelids became so heavy, I moved over to the big armchair to take a nap, hoping to re-energize myself. I told Gary that I needed some help because I couldn't get started and asked for some of his brain power. And just as I was dozing off, my head suddenly became full of things I wanted to say. So I jumped up and went back to my computer so I wouldn't forget. I typed the first few words and quickly found my fingers unable to keep up with my thoughts. I was wide awake and full of energy and felt an excitement to share this most magnificent collection with you, which I named Divine Destiny. The inspiration of this collection is so profound and is the spiritual expression of what we subtly experience, yet perhaps can't describe when we use essential oils. Gary discovered this when he first started learning about essential oils in France. Mr. Henry Viau, at the time was known as the father of distillation in Provence, France, because of his research and all of the papers and books he published about essential oils. Jean-Noël Landel, Gary's business partner, had been trying for about 5 years to get Gary an audience with Henry Viau. The day finally arrived when Mr. Viau was invited to dinner at Jean-Noël's home while Gary was there. However, Mr. Viau spent the entire evening speaking French with Jean-Noël, while Gary spoke English with Jane, Jean-Noël's wife. To Gary's frustration, it appeared that Mr. Viau had no interest in talking to this over-anxious American. But just as Mr. Viau was getting ready to leave, he turned to Gary and in perfect English asked what Gary thought about essential oils. The question was so unexpected that Gary just blurted out without thinking, "I believe that essential oils are the closest, most tangible substance to God on earth." Mr. Viau, with a deep, penetrating look, stared into Gary's eyes, slammed his hand down on the table and said emphatically, "You are right, and any man who adulterates them should be treated like a criminal." It was because of this answer that Gary was invited to come up on Mr. Viau's mountain, which began a whole new chapter of learning for Gary. It was a glorious time for him, and as their friendship grew, so did Gary's knowledge as he learned the art of distillation. What was Mr. Viau thinking? What had he discovered about the oils after spending so much of his life distilling, researching, and analyzing their characteristics? Obviously, he had strong feelings about oils being adulterated when he told Gary that anyone who would do such a thing should be treated like a criminal. What was Gary's inner knowing that caused him to say that essential oils are the most tangible substance to God on earth? That's quite a powerful statement and is very thought-provoking, with an understanding that can only come from experience and self-discovery from using essential oils. Was this Gary's destiny to discover the unseen properties of the oils that could open up our awareness and unlock the hidden recesses of knowledge that hold negative thoughts and feelings that could block individual progression towards life's purpose? Gary was excited and wanted to share this unknown world and these unexpected discoveries he had made with everyone. Sadly, too many people weren't ready, and Gary was greatly criticized when talking about the spiritual and emotional aspects of the oils. So Gary and I decided we would just be quiet and let people make their own individual discoveries. But as time went on, more and more people began to speak out about the unseen and how the oils uplifted them and expanded their awareness. We were amazed at the stories, and I often saw that look of knowing on Gary's face as he quietly smiled and listened. Destiny? I believe it was Gary's divine destiny that he experienced over and over as he journeyed this unknown path in quest of greater knowledge from which so many have benefited, if only to become more aware and pay more attention to their own feelings. There is a world of possibilities to be discovered in each person's own time. Surely a journey into the unknown, but which often seems rather familiar. Several weeks ago, I mentioned that I had a secret that I would reveal at convention, which created even more anticipation for me as I waited to share with you what I have been working on, the Divine Destiny Collection. This is a different kind of a collection, not only because of the way these new oil blends are designed to be experienced, but also the application method, which will be new to almost everyone. It may seem strange or unusual for some of you, yet for others, it might feel familiar. No matter how you feel, I think it's going to be an adventure of discovery and enlightenment. I spend a lot of time thinking about whether I should use the word divine, because I want my intention to be clearly understood. What does the word divine mean? I think it means different things to different people, and it is certainly used to describe many things. We often use the word divine to describe something wonderful or blissful. You might hear the word used to describe an article of clothing or the way someone looks. Maybe the food at some fancy restaurant tastes divine, or a velvet or silk fabric feels divine. I bet there are a lot of things going through your mind. For me, the word divine evokes a feeling of connection to an unseen realm, a connection to God, the Creator, to that power that gives energy to my inner being. That connection is the key to understanding who we are, our purpose in life, and the opportunity to fulfill our destiny and reach our highest potential. Gary loved his blend, Highest Potential. He wore it every day, along with Valor, Forgiveness, Cool Azul, and a few others. The design of the packaging is so beautiful. I want you to know that it was created by Ren Sof, the director of creative design. It is just so exquisite. Thank you, Ren. The Divine Destiny Collection is a trio of essential oil blends created to work synergistically as an aromatic companion for your self-development journey. The aromas of these blends lift you into a positive environment of words and ideas to help in the process of discovering the truth about who you are. These blends help heighten spiritual awareness and empower your inner self as you reflect on your own destiny and that which you desire to accomplish in your life. As you begin to use these blends, take note of how they interact with each other and with your body, mind, and soul to create an harmonious energy that brings light and balance to soothe your emotions, disposition, and mental outlook in a positive and unique way. The transformation of nature's living energy on the etheric and emotional bodies cannot be measured, but will be determined by the way you feel as the mind and heart open and release emotional constraints. The oils in Divine Destiny have a unique interaction when layered one upon the other and bring a feeling of peace and introspection. Each blend will respond to the frequency of the individual and create a personal experience as you focus on that which you desire. We have 3 blends in our Divine Destiny collection: Daily Divine, I Am Blessed, and I Am Creative. As you're listening, say the words in English or in your language that mean the same. I am, ich bin, je suis, soy, ana, bonjour, watashi. Can you feel the strength of those words in your body? Now say, maybe I'll go. That's a weaker feeling, not as committed. I am going is resolute. Notice how determined or stronger you feel inside. Gary always said to speak your words as if that which you desire has already happened. When we prayed together as a family, he taught us not to ask for what we wanted, but to give thanks for already having received it. At first it seemed strange to us, but then it began to make sense and it felt right. In our family, we always give thanks. and express gratitude, which creates a whole different feeling and perhaps a different awareness. Gary had a knowing about things. He visualized the farms. He visualized how the distillation would work. He could look at a field of weeds and describe the beauty of the crops that had not yet been planted. And then 1 or 2 years later, we were harvesting those plants for the extraction of the oils. He visualized you, our members, and for those of you who have had the opportunity to come and work at the farms, you know that is a fabulous experience. When we moved to Ecuador, because we didn't speak the language, there were many times when people took advantage of us. But when Gary found the land in the middle of this tangled jungle, and I stood with him in the middle of it, the idea of farming seemed preposterous to me. After a very long moment of gazing over the vastness of what I thought was impossible, Gary turned to me and said, "Mary, can you see how magnificent this farm is with our beautiful distillery?" I looked at him in dismay and said, "No, I can't." And with that big smile he always had, he just said, "Just watch me." The farm in Ecuador, Finca Botanica, is amazing to visit, which is an experience that I hope you will all have someday. Every time I stand by the distillery and look out over the acres and acres of ylang-ylang trees, I remember that conversation with Gary when I thought what he was seeing would be impossible. No matter what went wrong, Gary always looked for the solution. That is, if he didn't already have one. Nothing stood in the way of his mission to take essential oils to the world. Gary often spoke of some of the things that we would be experiencing today, and he knew we would need help, perhaps in a different way, if just to keep our spirits held high and filled with hope and resolution. Our world is in need of visualization to see the positive, the good, and having gratitude and giving thanks. Throughout this past year, more than ever before, I have heard so much expression of gratitude, deep gratitude for Young Living and what it has meant to all of you, as well as to me, not only because of the great value the products have in our lives, but of the financial benefits as well. Gary always said the oils are tools with many different uses, but a tool only has value when it is used. The Divine Destiny blends are formulated for this time in our world to help us on our journey to discover our divine destiny. Different oils carry different notes, and when those notes are combined, they create a synergistic or harmonic action. You might compare it to a single note on the piano that, when combined with other notes, can create an harmonic chord or sound. That's a simple comparison to give you as a picture as to how the blends in our Divine Destiny collection work. Use Daily Divine alone for a few days to enhance your frequency or vibration before adding the new harmonic notes of the other two blends to create your symphony-like experience. Daily Divine is the bass note. I Am Blessed is the middle note that amplifies and strengthens Daily Divine. I Am Creative is the top note, which completes the harmonic structure of balance and strength. But you must remember, and I believe most of you know, that benefits or effects are dependent upon the user being open to receiving and accepting. The application method is different from how we use other blends, so just stay with me until we get all the way through it. The first blend, Daily Divine, is the foundation for increasing awareness to connect the energy that comes from the sun and Mother Earth through the plants. And this energy amplifies the other two blends. Daily Devine is the activator, and when used alone for the first few days, allows the body to adjust to the frequencies that open the soul to growth, as well as greater enlightenment of the soul's purpose. This certainly causes us to go deeper into thought. But keep listening. The crisp, innervating scents of white fir and black spruce, along with the warm, grounding notes of sandalwood, Palo Santo, vetiver, and manuka, and the rich floral aroma of jasmine may help you reflect on your personal journey and the progression to live a life of purpose and service to others. The first time you use this oil, apply 1 or 2 drops topically once or twice a day for about a week. Apply the oils where you desire in a place that is comfortable to you, such as the wrists, crown of the head, back of the neck, throat, heart, or earlobes. As the aroma transforms throughout the day, reflect on how you can open yourself to the changes you are seeking. As you apply this oil, you might say to yourself something like, I am inspired daily to achieve my highest potential. I have daily opportunity to teach about the oils and what I love. Say whatever suits you, whatever it is that you want to achieve. I am blessed stimulates the components in Daily Devine, making a powerful combination to help individuals connect to their subtle inner being. Together, these 2 blends promote the feeling of being good enough, worthy enough, and empower your true self to come forth and begin that journey of self-attainment. With the rich floral scents of geranium and jasmine, the earthy, slightly sweet aroma of goldenrod, and the woodsy grounding notes of pine, Palo Santo, and our famous blend of valor, you'll want to pay attention to your expanded awareness and transformation of thought. A week after applying Daily Devine, layer 1 or 2 drops of I Am Blessed over the same area and continue using just these 2 blends for another week. While breathing in this magnifying aroma, reflect on your gifts, talents, the abundance in your life, knowing that you are worthy and deserving of all that you are and all that you can become. The combination of Daily Devine and I Am Blessed will accentuate the feelings of security, hope, and guidance that you are not alone, enabling you to tap into your God-given talents with an inner knowing that you are part of something greater, and you no longer need to find your self-worth and creativity based on what others tell you. As you layer this blend on, add to the verbiage of the first blend, Daily Devine, and speak out loud what you desire. Speak to your feelings of being blessed with abundance, being blessed with health, being blessed that your young living order arrived on time. Again, you choose the words. I Am Creative is the most powerful when combined with the first 2 blends. It is empowering because of the foundation that you laid down with the other 2 blends. Through thoughts, words, and affirmations, these 3 blends used together empower individuals to begin creating in their minds their world as they so desire. As Gary would say, put the energy of your thoughts into motion to create your reality. As you breathe in the citrus top notes of grapefruit, tangerine, and bergamot, the sweet, earthy aroma of helichrysum and lemongrass, and the invigorating scent of eucalyptus radiata, and the crisp, woodsy undertones of juniper, cypress, and hinoki, you may become conscious of your inner light. Not just to know it, but to feel it, and the amazing changes that this inner awareness can bring. After using the combination of Daily Devine and I Am Blessed for a week, you are ready to layer 1 or 2 drops of I Am Creative over the same area as the first 2 blends and envelop yourself in the aroma of your creative energy to awaken you to the realization of your divine destiny. With this 3rd oil, speak to what you want to create, the environment in which you want to live, and your plan for achieving that desire. This trio of blends can be applied where you are intuitively drawn to apply them. Each blend has an effect with a specific intention. You may want to experiment with how you use them by applying them to different places on your body. I like them on my neck. For instance, you may have difficulty expressing yourself or are uncomfortable about speaking up, so maybe you want to layer the oils over the area of the voice. How many people are unable to achieve their true destiny because of their limited ability to speak to what is buried inside of them, or to speak what they know to be true? No one can achieve their highest potential in life without using their voice. Perhaps this will help open up and energize your center of speech and self-expression. Please layer the oils, one on top of the other, in the location you desire where you feel they are most suited. You may not know what you need consciously, but your subconscious knows, and that is where the action can take place. The body will respond to the energy of how the oils are blended, but layering is the key to achieving the greatest benefit. This allows the individual compounds in the oils to integrate with your body's chemistry. You don't have to figure it out. Your body knows. If you mix the oils together for a single application, you may not achieve the effect or benefit you're seeking. This is a 3-part layering technique that should take place over 3 weeks, so don't take shortcuts. This trio is not like anything we have ever had before. The application is unusual, and the response is subtle. This is your journey of discovery, and I hope it will be one that ignites a new fire within you to share with so many who are waiting for you, the messenger. The oils are simply bringing in another layer of empowerment, self-empowerment, which far too many are afraid to accept or explore. The unseen energy has to come between those who tell you what to do and take away your personal power. It's time to use your voice and express your feelings. We're talking about emotional freedom and your independence to pursue your dreams and your divine destiny. I have been using this collection since March, and I feel like I have more ideas and my brain is faster than my fingers can type. I'm excited about this journey I am on and the new experiences that are awaiting. It is important to take ownership of your thoughts and the way you think, and thereby your life, to ultimately achieve that desire that lies within the depths of your soul's knowing, your divine destiny. We are entering a new dawning of humanity, and I believe our world will be constantly changing for some time to come. Keep feeding your soul with the new knowledge you discover. Drink plenty of pure water and eat nutritious food to strengthen your body. Keep your environment and the air you breathe as clean as possible, and strengthen your spirit with the living essence and power of God's creation. And know that the answers are within the plan of your divine destiny.